essence, is going to be watching this video in the morning, right? Okay. This morning was an honest assessment of who I was as a guide. I came on and I gave some messages to a video screen related to the nature of who I was in the moment. It would have been considered a social impulse kind of video. And I want to go ahead and I want to thank everyone who's watching these soul embodiment videos. This is a more detailed level understanding of what my soul is doing, right? How many people are saying, no, this is not about how to connect to my soul. We are connecting as souls. So what does soul embodiment mean if we're creating together? Well, there's various versions of you and I on other planes of existence. How's that for a lead-in? Now, what does that mean? Okay, so in essence, if you're under the influence of, some people are like, are you under the influence of drugs? I'm going to be a little happy because this is where people get interested. Because honestly, if you understood the nature of what heaven was or is, you would understand, you could come at this from various levels of understanding and still be comfortable in your own body. You don't have to be a channel to embody your soul, okay? What that really means is I'm going to start to embody those aspects of who I am that I denied myself as a child most often, or as a guide. Because in essence, we guide each other in our visions when we come across the screen even. I know for a fact that I've got 2 or 3 people who are interested in embodying their soul, and they're thinking, well, I think I'm all that and more. That's the nature of what you are. You are all that and more, okay? And some people say, oh, this is an ego thing. It can feel like a big ego. So some people will look at me and they'll say, she must have a big ego because she's placing herself in this vision of, I'm going to help others to embody their own soul. How might I help you do that? Well, in essence, I could tell you where your 5th dimensional soul would be coming from. That's a definite understanding that the majority of the people are going to be coming from, because in essence, most people are still in that vision of, when I pass, I want to go to this heavenly realm, or some kind of, place in the ever after, right? We tend to think that the heavenly realms are the best place because that's all we know. Until you start to go outside of the vision of, a realm or a dimension, it's all relevant. They're all various levels of understanding. So I'm not here to tell you or convince you of, something else. Most people will want to say, I don't need to know where I reside at, okay? But in essence, did you deny yourself the vision of, like a ballerina, for instance, or some other vision as a child that you wish you could have done, and that somehow is now being played out on another level of understanding? Okay, I could go into a lot of details about what it means for the majority of people who watch this to say, if I am frightening you right now, that's not a bad thing, right? This is not for those of the light of heart, right? You have to be committed to doing the work. You have to be committed to doing the work it takes to understand, am I living my life for other people? Do I feel the need to embody my own system of government? Some people are in that vision of, I know what's best for this country, right? That's the nature of a lot of us, right? We have our own visions of what we think is best for this country or wherever you reside. We often have those visions of, I place more importance on my soul's vision versus that of the collective, experience. Okay? Because in essence, we're usually looking within that vision of, my ideas are the best for me. However, that is definitely not the case for the majority of the people. And people are going to go, what? No, it's not about denying you your beauty of experience. But in essence, there are many of us that have these visions of, oh, I'm going to be guided forevermore. Or I get to look out into the world and see a beautiful expression that didn't come to me. Maybe I'm enjoying my life as I am. So what is it that I'm looking for? Am I looking for an explanation of what a soul is? Because we've defined it in various ways. It's more than what you are here. Your soul works within your system of influence often. It can be very high or low depending on the vision of whatever it is that you hold to be true in your own mind. Most people will look out into the world and say, I don't feel great. It doesn't matter. Once you reach that level of 5D, you don't go low, really, once you hit that note. Because in essence, you tend to combine with your own soul's understanding of what a heavenly realm is. I could visit with my mom or my dad in this moment, wherever they are, no matter if they're in the 5th dimension or the 12th. Sometimes I hit those higher dimensions that are beyond that, and not all of them are pleasant. Now, what does that mean? Okay, it doesn't mean that the majority of people are going to experience those negative kind of things when they embody their soul. And I have to honor those visions of those who are saying, yeah, I guide others, but I do it from here. I don't need to guide people to go, into the outer dimensions or whatever. I'm just trying to help people right here, right now. And that's where the majority of people would want to go. Who am I working with, and what part of their souls have they not really embodied yet? So even for me, there's still those aspects of myself that are coming back to me from the future. I bring them to me, and I look good, right? That's the nature of most people. You'd be surprised how many people feel good in the moments. How many people say, oh, I can rock that guide, right? That's literally what we do. When we embody our soul, we tend to fly. And I mean fly high. And it's not about being on anyone's drugs or anything. There are plenty of people who utilize the drug state to get to those visions of higher dimensions. Can they maintain it without the drugs? That's a whole nother question, right? I don't want to discontinue the use of my vitamin C. We're going to talk about this. So, for instance, I kept hearing about the vitamin C. A lot of people, when they're in this process of embodying their soul or doing any kind of like soul work, will often realize I've been doing things for various reasons without even knowing why. Why do I question my vision of love for my family members? Sometimes we go, oh, I didn't want to be a burden to my family, so I'm going to leave this vision, right? Is my mother on the line? This is me. Hi, Mom. If you're on the line, hi. Okay. So for me, in my method of soul embodiment, I realize it's like, I don't want to be a burden to my mother or my father. So I kind of hung back and I let myself do a lot of my work. That's what a lot of people do, right? Why would I feel like I was a burden? That's someone else's vision. I don't want to be a burden. That's someone else I know, and I want to honor that vision of you are no longer considered a burden in our eyes. No man or woman is ever deemed less than when you go to the level of soul. You cannot be less than other souls because in essence, we're all creating that vision of love for one another in various shapes and forms. So when I create my vision on the 5th dimension as a guide, I come across very innocent, very exotic on the 17th level. It's literally where my soul goes in various ways. And people are going to go, what? So it's literally one of those episodes where it's like, my mom and my brother or whoever else might be on might go, okay, this is going to get a little interesting. You might not want to watch this one. I don't know. But anyways, it's not like it's inappropriate, but it's really about those natures. We are humans. We have those visions of love, of our sexuality, of our formative years, of our schooling, the conditioning around that. We're experiencing all kinds of drama in the mindset right now. People are like, oh no, this is one of those X-rated ones. It's not. There's no X-rated people. Some people are more in that I'm, very conservative in my energy. That's a beautiful thing. Had you grown up in a different place and time, you might be, a freewheeling kind of spirit, just like, hey, let's let it all hang out. Okay. It's not about saying things are good or bad. And once you go to that level of, I'm going to embody my soul, your soul will tend to bring out that part of you that was denied or not embraced as much by those around you, or as a child where you were like, oh, I'm going to learn my lessons from those around me. How many people got in trouble for saying bad words? Okay, that's my vision for my children. You know why? And this is the beauty of, I'm going to use my life as example. So excuse me if I talk a lot about myself, because I want to give you guys an understanding of why I do what I do. Okay, so for instance, I grew up in a house where foul language was abundant. Many of us are. However, was it just off the cuff? Or was it used in anger as a way of getting your point across to children sometimes? Okay, that's the difference. I had this conversation with a beautiful friend of mine, and it was a realization about why I'm so sensitive. So it's why I tended to be more restrictive in my own expression of the foul language versus, just saying it off the cuff. And that's where some of my visions come from, because in essence, as I got older, I became more and more, well, some people will say, oh, that's the filthy talk, right? It depends when it's being used and how it's being used, right? So we can't always say that. Some people will say, you never say that word to me. I will never allow someone to call me, well, we would say the C word, right? Oh, you better believe it. Well, that one's just going to go out the window. Some people say, oh no, we use that word in various ways. But it's the breaching of those barriers that often break free of those ideas of conditioning. And that's where a lot of it is coming from. I was told I couldn't do X, Y, or Z. And now, as adults, a lot of us do change ourselves to where we're not exactly like our parents, right? A lot of us are definitely not like our parents. Or we're not as fond of their rules or the restrictions or whatnot that they had for us as we were growing up. And we say, hey, now I can, let loose and have a good time. That's a lot of us. And then a lot of us start to have our own children, and then we say, oh my goodness gracious, what was I thinking, right? We want to honor all the parents who are there, who are saying, I know where this one's going. I was too strict, right? It's not about judgment. It's not about guilt, and it's not about the heavenly realms. If you're in the mindset of, I have to behave a certain way in order to get through those pearly gates, that could stop you from going too far into this vision of soul embodiment, because you've got a strong central, role that's being played out in your heart and in your minds. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. And you may have that vision, yeah, I don't really feel like I need to embody anything else. I'm the badass motherfucker is my guide, right? It's also a part of who I am. So I'm able to bring out that vision of that soul's expression from a different place and time that gives me my confidence that I often sometimes lack in certain aspects, because there's a lot of confidence in the mindset of an INFJ, and that's what I embodied for the majority of my life. If I was going to say I embodied some system outside of, my family, it would often be more in the realm of psychology. Okay. So had I been a psychologist, that would have been one of those realms that I would have created from. And I continue to create from that realm of INFJ or MBTI. And that's why the nature of some of those episodes will, in fact, be labeled specifically for personality types, because in essence, the majority of the people in the psychology realm of spirituality are either in the realm of MBTI, but it's mostly a lot of depth psychology related to Jung. And his badass motherfucker soul said, yeah, I was the one that did the work on that one. So literally, I created that vision of love for certain it's ideals and ideas about who we are in the mindset. And I look out at the world and what do I see? Oh yeah, those people definitely know their shit, right? A lot of us were the terrorist, right? No, very few. Most of us have our struggles. So this is not about personality types, but I'm giving you examples of who you could be. So there are going to be people in here who know me, who know that I have talked to them about their personality types. And we would say that would be an honest assessment. If you are actually interested, does it serve you well to go down the path of INFJ or ENFJ or INFP or whatever it is? That's going to lead some people down that path. Do I need to go down that path? No. In fact, sometimes it can be a detriment to continue to view yourself in the mindset of somebody else's vision. However, I use it for my strength. My inner strength was always there, even as a child. I had the strength, I developed the resilience. So let's think, we can talk about different kinds of strength. But in essence, this is the nature of many. So your own vision is where you thought you were. How many people are like, I thought I was going to be exactly where I was right now, right here, saying, yep, this is where I knew I was going to be, and I knew I was not going to understand much of what she's saying. Okay. So here's the vision. Do you have a soul aspect that has not been brought back into your life yet? Caretakers of the world are here. The majority of the people who find themselves in the vision of love for other people often portray themselves as the caretakers of the world. I'm going to help those around me to lift themselves up to that place of enlightenment, right? To be who you are really in your soul would require a gifted soul that knows how to take on the soul of love and say, that's a different vision. It's love. But what kind of love do you get when you embody your soul? Do you feel like you were denied your vision of being gay? Some people are, right? A lot of people will say homosexuals, are no longer valid. Okay, this is not the vision of religion, people. This could be the aspect of some child who was forced to create from a vision of male when they were indeed more of a female in their, soul. We honor those visions of those children who are forced out of that mindset of, I just want to be who I am. Now, it could be very simple little things. It could be life-altering changes that people make when they embody their soul. Your own visions of soul embodiment will come through, and most are a little nervous, to be honest. Oh God, but I had some bad thing happen to me. Did that change and alter my life permanently? It did. It sent you down a different path, right? It's not that. Does it change the course of your existence as a soul? Not really. You've had those views all along, right? I knew I was supposed to be in that car accident. That's me, right? I Did not know that. Okay. I figured, why was I in a car accident? I was the innocent bystander or passenger in the back seat of a very, very bad car accident, and I took the brunt of the blows. What did that do for me? I don't regret it. I do hate that vision of it, though. Why did I have to be the one that was so hurt? It gave me the money I needed to get through college. I had a little bonus, right, with that one, right? I didn't die and I didn't have much permanent damage, right? Other things I would have regretted even more. But in essence, my belief system says that I created a lot of my, experience around it. And I went back and I healed that vision for myself, for the most part. Some of them, I still have the after effects, the anxiety around certain vehicles sometimes, not always. Certain characteristics around certain types of people I may freeze up around, okay? I've had to deal with certain people on various levels, okay? So when you embody your soul, we are there to kind of help guide you into that vision of love for the souls of love. So your soul will come through and say you're loved so mightily for doing that vision of, oh, you mean I created that? Some people will kick you in the ass to get you off of this. Is not about us saying we created everything. This is why we come through as soul, because there is that vision of, oh, that was given to me, or it was predetermined, every single thing. Soul level understanding definitely is not about destiny and like there's no way out of it, okay? We create with you in your hearts, people. And that's the vision of many. I want to know what's the loving, caring vision of who I am to come through. How many people are saying, I have a lot of anger at the outside world. Maybe I need to open up to that vision of letting certain things come back into my heart. What did I let go of? The believing in God? Some people say that's where they feel like my life is, lacking because I didn't grow up in the faith. I had my own internal faith system that drew me into the beloved soul. Okay, I went to a place where the love was shown to me like no other. I was given the guidance to help the soul of love who is in his vision struggled in his own mindset. So I was giving guidance to souls on a soul level as I was sitting there watching them perform their magic on the stage. That's how crafty my guide is. The soul of love, we say that because in essence it's a creative ability for everyone to kind of understand that the nature of us creating together is of love. Whether I paint you that rosy picture for everything that you say and do is not, it's on a beautiful level, it's not. So I'm not here just to tell you that it's all, roses in this world, right? That's the nature of my own soul's guidance. You, however, may have a different vision where we say, let's just enjoy the view of love for eternal heavenly realms. And that's the vision that the majority of people will want to go to. So to do that work is not as difficult as I'm going to open myself up to the nature of soul embodiment, where I get to now experience the other realms and the abilities I have for the healing of my heart and mind and my body. It's a beautiful expression. It comes and goes for some of us. I traveled in the dimension of love. I know what it's like. It's a very honest to God. You don't want to leave the love vibration if you can reach it. And most people will say it's not a certain person's vision of it, but you hear those loving messages from your soul. And you can't beat that vision of I love you no matter what. You could be doing harm to somebody in essence and feeling the burdens of society coming down on you, and your soul will still back you up. They will not condone what you're doing, but they will always honor your vision of, I have a struggle in my mind that I need to work out in this world. That's where souls are. We have so many souls on the line at some point are saying, I'm in struggle. I need to get my own soul so I can have a perfect life. It doesn't work that way. Most people who embody their souls create the magic within it. It's not about perfection. It's about understanding the nature of the path that we create together can be very hell-bent on destruction. That's where the light workers sometimes come in. That might be an aspect of me. If I was to go down that path of a traditional INFJ or some light worker, I might be more in the path of destruction, which is basically not like a terrorist, but more in the, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with what's going on, and then I'm going to lift us up out of that mindset that it's actually a bad thing. I am not a bad person, people. Okay? Because I've done the work. That's what most will say. Oh, yeah, no, I get it now. You think you're better than me because I'm not embodying my soul. No. It's not a path for most because it's very hard to do and not lose your mind in some ways. That's what needs to be said. You have to integrate it, and that means that at some point it's a very long, hard look in the mirror. Do I love who I am? And when I look in the mirror and I say, yeah, I love who I am because I feel the gift of love from my family members, right? How many people say the family members don't actually need to love you in order for your soul to say you're loved? It's not about our family tree, people. They are aspects of our conditioning. You go to that level of soul creation where we all determine how do we get through to them. So it's kind of like many are still in the mindset of, I want to be in the vision of my mother or my father or whatever and be who they wanted me to be. How did I turn out? Can you imagine your life had you been with any other parents? We obviously chose these visions when we came into this reality. Okay, so we're here to do some work. I'm not here to tell you that everyone's life is beautiful when they embody their soul. I had to make some tough choices. Others would say I would never go down that path. It means I got to hurt some people. And I did. And I have to live with those, consequences. I had to hurt some other people's, emotions, their feelings, and their minds so that I could bring through the badass motherfucker, right? Some people will not like that, but it's an aspect. I also had to destroy certain friendships on 5 or 6 levels so that I could have peace of mind because I was hearing their version of who I was from a different perspective and calling me out on it. And most will say, no, that's a different kind of problem, right? Oh, no, it is not. Because I always got those validations. And granted, I went to the other side. I saw visions of who I still create with. I know who is in my life on the 5th dimension, which is essentially the heavenly realms. But it's who's more in alignment with my soul. I know certain people are not there with me. I'm not going to name names, and I'm okay with that. Memes. How many people are saying, I don't want to see any more memes from Brenda? You have no idea where those memes come from. The memes are actually a part of the strategy that we're going to start to utilize, because in essence they can be very powerful. 3 or 4 words at a time can sometimes mean the difference between life or death. If someone says to you, I love you, please don't kill yourself, what do you think that does for somebody? Right? I've had to deal with that vision several times. Okay? People know that it is not easy to embody your soul. So the beginning process is to identify your own vision for who you are. First of all, do you feel uncomfortable in your own skin? Okay, now we have to think about this. Am I in the right place? Some people are like, I don't feel like I belong in this country. Okay, why am I staying? Or I don't belong in the same, city. It could be something like that. Some places don't feel right for our souls. This is the nature of vibration. Okay, and so your soul will guide you to those places that feel right for you. That's the beauty of it. Now, I just also, there's a difference between me as a guide. That's the difference, and this is what I want to honor for the majority of the people. You're going to be asked to write down your experiences when you start to go down the process of soul. It's soul path embodiment. I can't be in 5 places at one time, can I? Well, you can. Sort of. It's one aspect of me that I've brought through, which is that vision of multiple selves. And others are going to say, no, that's a personality, issue. It's all combined. They integrate. It's kind of like that vision of a collective of guides. But it's one vision coming together to create that beautiful integration of the soul, those things I denied myself and I bring forth. Me as a guide is a totally different story. Now, for those of you who are wanting a separate kind of session where you say, what can I talk about in my vision about light? So 5 of you would honestly be more in the alignment of light workers. I want to make a change. I want to do the work that I'm supposed to do. How do I know? Because I'm not happy in my career, right? I know my path is of guidance. It depends on what vision is like it is. Had I based my vision on someone else's vision of who I was, that might be why I'm not getting the results that I want. And this was even my heart. I was told, Brenda, stop reading certain things, right? Don't ever stop reading books, people, right? It depends. Okay. Nobody's ever going to say stop reading a book because of fear of it. But we do want you to understand that those of you who are on the path of, I'm going to embody my soul and see where it goes, you'll start to lift yourself to that place of love for the soul level understanding. When you do that, you're going to find very many people who will say they've embodied their soul as another soul. So how do you determine when this soul is yours versus somebody else's? Because this is the nature of some people. If they're in the mindset of, I'm going to be a guide for love, you would be looking to those higher vibrational sources often that say it's about going in and not out. Now, I can do both because that's the nature of who I am. That's why I'm the badass one, because I know how to determine which visions are for me versus other people, okay? Now, the other sources of wisdom, I could say as a guide, someone who is looking at me saying, how do you know that? Usually it is an inclination that I have, and I'm so bad sometimes at, like my one friend, I can never give her messages for some reason. I don't want to put that out there, but it's like we're on this wavelength of conflicting, ideas about soul, because she's outside of the vision of a heavenly being. And in essence, some people here are in that vision of, well, what if there's nothing? This was another question. What if I don't believe in God? This was a good question. So some people who may be watching saying, yeah, I like the idea of having my own soul, versus some, outer dimensional, force. It's all attracted from within. Like that attraction that we have for others, that's something souls will bring us our loved ones to. Okay, so they bring us our hearts, our minds, and our gifts often. And when I say a gift, I don't mean like a present that's wrapped. I'm talking about the talents and abilities that you start to embody. Now, for me, visionaries of the world know that my path is on the idea of bringing forth your future, right? Sometimes those visions are a little struggle depending on how many people I have on the line. I could tell people about their vision of love for their spouse and whether that spouse is going to be able to ever, we're not going to name names. Someone's got a throat issue. I can't speak. Okay, but there's a vision, so someone knows it. Yeah, and I'm being told that vision is of we gotta get through that. You guys are gonna notice the throat. Okay. Gary is still on the line in his mind. Jesus loves him. Okay, that's the nature. So how many people are saying, that's all I wanted to know? Is my spouse going to be with me in that vision of Christ? And that's the nature. So you will create with your visions of loved ones. Most often, we do come together and we do imbibe upon that. So people might be a little bit worried when I say I'm not going to be creating with everyone in my family. It doesn't mean it's not going to be at a certain point. It was just in this moment I wasn't. Because I'm out in other dimensions doing my thing, working on my life from various aspects. I literally work with my soul that takes me to that place of understanding of how to visit other realms to deal with the information that I am bringing forth here. I'm not here to tell people that things are good or bad in their life. It is just a state of being. Are you happy? If you are not happy, I can try to bring you more information for a personal session. And I won't even charge anybody that comes to these groups, because in essence, it's all about the beauty of your soul. Crying out, I want more money. Okay, how many people are saying, I need more money? That's me. I don't need more money, but I want more money. That's an honest assessment. But I'm not going to charge people. I don't need it at this moment. At some point, I will charge people for it. But there's someone here that's saying, yeah, I want more money. We're taught that in some circles, some people are saying asking for more money is somehow bad. Others will say, no, we need to be, successful. And how do we show our success? We flash our cameras and we're always putting on pictures on the internet about, how beautiful we are. So people are going to make a lot of assumptions based on where their conditioning and we don't mean that in a bad way. It can be taken bad, but their mindsets are. Some people have a negative attitude towards money based on how they grew up, right? If you're brought up in certain circles, you're told you give a lot of your money away. Other people are told, no, you hang on to your money. You be smart with your money, right? You save for that future, right? So, it's a personality issue in many ways. And we say that's not about the soul, though, because is money a talent? It can be, depending on, how you use it. Am I using my money in the right way? That's where I will get told. I get told financial information for me. Do I get told all the best things there are? Okay. Literally, I got told what stocks to buy. That's the kind of stuff your soul will tell you. They will tell you, it could be, if that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not going to tell people that because people will be jumping on board, but it's true. You'll get guidance in your business ventures. You'll get guidance in your love life. You'll get guidance in your ways of expressing the views of love. So for me, I know that I often come across as, hard on people in the societal way. And it's not meant to be hard, but it is about the vision of don't mess with my guidance system. But if you are already in your own vision of I'm already attracting my own soul's guides, what do I do if I don't know who they are? So in essence, you're thinking, well, maybe I need to place a name on them, right? It depends. Some people will change their names because they don't even feel like themselves anymore. I happen to love who I am. And I happen to love my name. And I happen to love a lot of who I am. I did a lot of work on loving myself. So, when this process started, there were just aspects of me. And, this is how bad it was. And it's so funny because, so many people look to other people outside of their own selves, like from the heavenly realms, and say, oh my gosh, let me get the guidance from my family members. And this is me. I'm like, I don't need their advice. I'm good. Literally. And it doesn't mean I'm dishonoring my family, but I'm like, I put a shitload of work into my life. Why would I be looking outside of myself for it? And then I embody my soul and I'm like, don't ever doubt that. That's why for you, as a soul, I would never doubt your soul. So if your soul comes through and say, oh, Gary needs some help with his Christ, ideas. Right? We don't force people down the path of Christ. And people are assuming if I don't have them in that vision, I'm not going to see them there. That's a mindset from it's a system of alignment for many souls. You will be reunited with your spouse. However, it may not be in the way in which you think you're going to be reunited. Some people don't want to be reunited with people, and this is a different kind of soul. These are two different scenarios, okay? Two different guidance, systems here. We assume a lot based on what the Bible has told us. It's symbolic in nature for the most part. So the validity is there. And it depends on what Bible you're using, to be honest. There's too many variances for me to go into that right now. Jesus as a guide can be crossed over 5 or 6 times. And what does that mean? It means that's how many soul level understandings he went through before he kind of made that leap to the ever after. He had to be in that idea of soul embodiment and spiritual enlightenment. It wasn't spiritual. He didn't think of it as spirituality. Those are the realms in which he resides for the most part as a guide. Um, Heaven has its own realm based on 2 or 3 books for the most part at this point. It becomes, well, null and void when you go to other dimensions, let's put it that way. And it's not because it's bad or thought of as bad, it's just a different way of being. Now, for those souls, and you got to understand, doesn't that kind of make sense for the majority of people? Can you not understand the nature of, if I believe I'm creating this place for me and my family in this heavenly realm based on this version of this book, you would understand that those who don't create with that vision have their own visions that they align with. Now, that doesn't mean, this is where we all can kind of come together and say, let's all create this beautiful vision of diversity within each other. I'm going to accept all the people that I love, no matter what they believe. How many people can do that now? It's rough. For those of you that can do that, I honor you, because I even have my struggles with that. I don't love everybody, right? So people are saying, I can't get to that vision of love everybody. Well, if I was to embody the Christ soul, that's one thing. You don't have to embody the Christ soul to get there, by the way. It's just basically that understanding of, I'm working with souls I can bring through their visions of love for their family members, friends, or whoever it is, wherever they are, and I can honor that vision. I honor soul level understanding that strong. And that's why I get the presidents of the United States previously coming to me, because they know that I am not in that vision of diversity as much in my mind, but in my heart I am. So those of you who know that I am of a particular mindset that tends to lean to the left, it doesn't mean I don't disregard your souls. I honor that vision for you. I get that. That's why I get the Bush family, coming to me. Others would say that's horrific. Those people were horrific. I don't embody their souls. I can if I need to, though. So had I been in that mode of I'm an empath, I would be embodying every single soul that I saw. That's part of what I did as an empath without even knowing it. And that's what was strong for a long time for me. This is the nature of those who are understanding that nature of empathy. It doesn't mean that you created a lot of havoc for us, but I'm going to start to kind of wind this down. Okay, so the empath soul, this is an aspect of many that either they are saying, thank you, I am so badass with that one, right? Most people can't get there, and yet, and it will be a long time, most people won't want to go there, because you have to be okay in your mind. And the people around you have to be okay with the fact that, oh my gosh, why are you bringing through this vision of some political person that I don't like? He's not on a spiritual path, right? He's not in our group, right? This person isn't in our group. Why are they coming through? That's why so many people don't go down the path of empathy. Right? Because they have it in their mindset. I like you. That's what everyone says. I like you. Okay. You don't have to like everybody in order to bring through their guidance. Think of it as a job. That's me. Okay. And to be honest, my natural capabilities are very much I can pretty much unwind a lot of the shit that people throw out there about other people. Because to be honest, if you go to the realm of psychology, you're going to really be able to unwind a lot of people's stuff anyways. That's like 101 right there. Soul embodiment, once you start hearing from soul level understanding, then you're like, oh, yeah, who am I to tell people how to be? Right? If you're in that vision of, you know, my soul is my soul, and I'm here to do my work, and I'm here to do my guidance, and I'm here to do my thing. And then if part of your soul is I'm a guide for many, that's when those layers of conditioning can be a struggle. So, for me, I was hearing various things. So many people think, oh, guide for many means I got to be on the popular path at this point in time. I know I have a lag time coming up, but I keep getting told I will be sold out at some point in time. Okay, so I know that vision is on the horizon. Okay, this is the beauty of your flippin' souls coming to you, telling you your visions. I know my family members are going to Hawaii in 2023. They need to keep that vision in their mindsets. We can get there. This is also about the nature of where they are as it relates to the current situation we find ourselves in this globe. Well, in the earth, on the earth. Now, some people are going to say some of the words that Brenda uses don't sound right. I do that to her to get her upset, right? She's the grammarian of the world. It's so people understand the higher dimensional visions, and there has to be an alteration of speech in order for that vision to have the impact at this point in time. So my grammar, which is very much of a let me change the words so they sound better, I leave them in there so others are very well aware that those visions are not just me coming up with it out of the mode of guidance. So I am not just a soul of God coming through. I create that vision of love, and I expect others to read it and weep. That's what some people do. They're like, read it and weep, baby. I've got the guidance that knows that most guides would not be inappropriate in their speech because that means they're uneducated. Bullshit. There is a reason why we do that. And at some point, I may lift my value system up to a place where this is so people don't feel like I'm better than them. I honestly know the difference between in the globe and on the globe, right? It's energy work, people. That's the nature of most of your soul work will become, it's like, it's not all energy, but it is energy. There is a difference in the vision of an empath versus the energy of an empath. There is a difference in the idea of the vision of health versus the energy of health. There is a difference in the vision of pandemic versus the energy of pandemic. Okay? That's the nature of my badass. I can come through with that kind of stuff. So it's not about saying, I'm better than. It's literally just a difference, because I would honor your souls. Your souls will come through for you. And that's what we're here to do. Now I'm going to wind this down because it's, getting a little bit late. I could honor your guys with a separate vision of love for heavenly realms. They are honored more than any other realm in my mind, right? I talk about them that way. The fifth dimension is usually where I tend to have that vision. It's a loving realm. It's mostly of family, friends, loved ones, caretakers of the world that come through. You'll also be honored by those souls at some point who say this lady is she's misgiving. She's not telling me the real deal amounting to nothing. This vision of I'm going to learn how to embody my soul. Do you want the meditations? Okay. Some people will say it's about opening up your vision. So I'm trying to prepare people for that vision of I'm going to embody my soul. If I'm not ready for it, what happens? Well, first of all, it's not about being in fear, but you do have to think about the simple fact of getting you guys to think about the ideas about what did I deny myself, or what do I still deny myself based on either society's vision of who I'm to be, or my parents, or my, coworkers, or whoever, right? We act different, or we do different. It could be friends too, right? How many people are knowing, oh, my friend Brenda just did a 180 on me, okay? Or whatever. And sometimes it's like out of nowhere, you might experience those things that say you need to go left and everyone else is going right. You have to be prepared to take risk sometimes as well. Because we often find ourselves in that vision of, I'm not happy with this outcome. That's different. That's manifesting. That's different than, say, embodiment of your soul and having that direct connection with your soul. Okay, your soul's working with you, but manifesting goes away when you work with your soul directly. You're not really waiting that long for anything to come around the corner. You get told when it's going to happen. And it depends on who you're creating with. So I could tell my cousin, I love you, I won't see you for a couple years. For my mom, I told her when she was going to Hawaii. Now, does that mean it's going to happen for sure? This is the beauty of light. Ooh. It will pretty much happen. I get my love handed to me. I know when my loved ones are coming back into my life. And that means 10 or 12 years before I find the loved one that I have deemed to be my soulmate. I will probably meet up with him several times in a different time zone first. And then I will create that vision of, we're going to meet in a different time zone. So I will have to be in a place of travel before I can meet up with that person. Okay? Now, in essence, that's the kind of specifics I'll get. I'm only going to release so much because it's a personal thing for me. But anyways, I want to thank you all for whatever energy, whatever kind of questions you have about soul embodiment. Please feel free to write them down. And then even if you just push them out there into the universe, I might be able to pick up on them and be able to tell you, you're going to see your loved ones. The majority of the people will see the majority of the people that they actually want to see on the other side of the veil. Okay. I just happened to visit it on my own, a few times. And I'm glad that I don't go there very often because I do want to stay here for the most part and create this vision. But, so love yourselves fiercely is what we would say. Because it is one of those things that as you get to this point where people start to say, oh, you're just looking a little weird or you're sounding weird, you kind of have to get over that vision of what we're supposed to be feeling and looking like. Most people who actually interact with me would not know the difference unless they are very close to me and understand and have been okay with that idea of instant vision of our hearts. So honor your hearts, love yourselves fiercely, and begin the process of looking at your own lives and saying, what did I miss out on? Is it something that I would want to bring back? Because that's another question. And if we want to bring it back, does it mean that it's supposed to be there in the same way that it was thought of or projected? We can give you the details of what your projection of Gary would have been like. So this is not about saying anybody else is supposed to be getting that message, But it could be that that's the vision of what someone else was hearing in their minds. Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean she knows who she's seeing in heaven? And if we're not creating in that same vibration, I will create with those souls who I deem to be part of my soul group, right? I don't get that choice necessarily at this point in time. There are people I've had to let go. I don't dishonor any souls either. So it was just, it was something shown to me, people, to let me know where I was in my energy as well. So it's not a permanent state of being. So I create from various levels. Now, honoring your hearts, loving yourselves fiercely, and taking a risk in writing down 3 or 4 things that you wish you could have done in your life, but you never did learn enough about it. Okay? That could be one of those things that you do. So we want to tell you, write down 3 or 4 things that you wanted to do in your life, but you never investigated or you never went the distance with it, and see if we can bring that to you. Okay? Now someone's carpets need to be cleaned. But anyways, thank you again and have a great evening.